Hi, our subject is personal development. So now we'll be going to discuss the Unit 1, the self-development. Module 1, knowing and understanding oneself. At the end of this module, you will be able to determine the definition of self, identify themselves as a person, and clearly express their thoughts and feelings. Big question, how can understanding oneself pave the way to self-acceptance and better relationship with others? Here, you will be asked to explain that knowing themselves can make persons accept their strengths and limitations and deal with others better. You will be asked also to share the unique characteristics, habits, and experiences, and start and maintain journal. Let's start this discussion with the self-concept. Do you have a mirror there? May salamin ba kayo dyan sa bahay nyo? Okay, hawakan nyo ang inyong salamin at inyong itapat sa inyong sarili. Naaalala nyo ba yung program ni Boy Abunda? Yung magic mirror? So, ganun. Ganun ang gagawin natin. Okay. Imagine yourself looking into a mirror. What do you see? Do you see your ideal self or your actual self? So when we say ideal self, it is the self that you aspire to be. Ito yung pinapangarap mong maging. It is the one that you hope will possess characteristics similar to that of a mentor or someone worldly figure. Typical example of ideal self is the Katniel pants. If you are a girl and you look at the mirror, what do you see? Do you see Catherine Bernardo? Or if you are a boy and you look at the mirror, whom do you see? Is it Daniel Padilla? So that is a very good example of an ideal self. Now, let's define what is actual self. Actual self, however, is the one that you actually see. Ikaw yon. It is the self that has characteristics that you have nurtured or in some cases, born to have. Ito yung kung ano ka na pinanganak at iyong inalagaan. Yun yung actual self. The actual self and the ideal self are two broad categories of self-concept. So what is self-concept? Self-concept refers to your awareness of yourself. Are you aware of yourself? Yun ang tanong. It is the construct that negotiates these two selves. In other words, it connotes first the identification of the ideal self as separate from others. And second, it encompasses all the behaviors evaluated in the actual self that you engage in to reach the ideal self. It is said that self-knowledge is built from the actual self. So what is self-knowledge? When we say self-knowledge, it is derived from the social interactions that provide insight into how others react to you. From the word knowledge, it means yung iyong karunungan o pagkakaalam tungkol sa iyong sarili. Gaano mo nga ba kakilala ang iyong sarili? Yun ang tanong. Sabi nila, makikilala mo raw ang sarili mo kapag ikaw ay nakihalubilo sa iba't ibang klase ng tao. Doon mo malalaman kung paano ka makitungo at paano sila mag-react sa iyong mga iginagalaw, ikinikilos o mga sinasabi. The actual self is who we actually are. Kung sino tayo as it is, yun yung actual self natin. It is how we think, it is how we feel, and how we look and act. Kung ano yung nararamdaman natin, kung ano yung naiisip natin, kung ano yung paano ang pananaw natin at paano yung pagkilos natin, yun yung actual self, yung totoong ikaw. The actual self can be seen by others. Nakikita ng ibang tao yung actual na kung ano tayo. But, because we have no way of truly knowing how others view us, the actual self is our self-image. On the other hand, ideal self is how we want to be. Kung ano at sino ang ating iniidolo. It is an idealized image that we have developed over time, basing on what we have learned and experienced. The ideal self could include components of what our parents have taught us, what we admire in others, what our society promotes, and what we think is in our best interest. Okay, talking about the components, isa-isahin natin ha. It says here, it would depend on what parents have taught us. Tanong ko lang, ano ang pangarap ng magulang mo sa iyo? Hindi ba may mga magulang na gusto nila maging doktor ka, kaya naman ikaw ay nag-STEM? So that is your ideal self. Another component would be what we admire in others. Sino sa inyo ang nag-a-admire na maging isang magaling abogado? Sino naman sa inyo ang gustong maging sikat na singer? And the likes. From that point of admiration, nagiging inspirasyon sila, hindi ba? Inaaral ninyo paano maging sikat na abogado, paano maging sikat na singer, syempre, by practicing, and at the same time, by doing what is required to have the skills. Another component would be what our society promotes. Ito naman yung kung ano ang hinihingi o yung nauuso o yung sinasabi nilang trending na kaaya-aya sa alta syudad na iyong kinabibilangan. Bigay nga kayo ng halimbawa. Maaring ICT dahil nga nasa high technology na tayo, millennials, ika nga. So, dapat techie tayo when it comes to computer. Because we live nowadays in a computer world. And last but not the least component is what we think is in our best interest. Best interest kasi nga kung saan tayo nahihilig at doon tayo interesado, or maaring dahil sa iyon ang let's say businessman na maaring ito yung maging pwede mong gawing pagkakakitaan dahil nga may negosyo na kayong dati, ito yung tinatawag nilang best interest. When the ideal self and the actual self is not favorable with each other, there is a conflict. And when there is conflict, there is a negotiation. There is negotiations that exist between the two selves, the ideal self and the actual self. The two selves is complex because there are numerous exchanges between the ideal and the actual self. These exchanges are exemplified in social roles that are adjusted and readjusted. Social roles ay ang ating tinatawag na mga tungkulin o ginagampanan natin sa pakikipagkapwa-tao. And it may be derived from outcomes of social interactions from infant to adult development. So that is why alignment is very important. Listen very carefully. If the way that I am, that is the actual self, if the way that I am is aligned with the way that I want to be, the ideal self, then I will feel a sense of mental well-being or peace of mind. If your actual self is aligned to your ideal self, meaning if what you want to be is aligned to who you are, meaning you will be having this kind of peace of mind because there's no problem, everything is okay, naka-align siya. Example of congruence or alignment. I want to be a singer and my special talent is singing. So, malayo ba na makakamit ko yon? To consider na meron naman akong looks. So, it is aligned. So, wala kayong magiging problema. Now, let's talk about the opposite of the alignment, or shall we say the incongruence or lack of alignment. If this will happen, it can be the result in mental distress or anxiety. Okay, please listen carefully. The greater the level of incongruence between the ideal self and the real self, the greater the level of resulting distress. Example ng incongruence. Ina-idolize nung isang tao si Superman. So, nagsuot siya ng costume ni Superman. Just imagine, ano ba ang suot ni Superman? Meron siyang cape or kapa. Diba? Yung kanyang parang pak. And then, meron siyang stocking. Tapos, yung brief nasa labas. So, what do you think? Diba? Weird. Hindi na siya congruent doon sa actual self niya. So, yun ang example ng incongruence. Minsan kasi, may nababagay. Kung yung bang ideal self mo ay abot kamay mo ba o malayo sa katotohanan? If that would be the case, there is this big incongruence. So, this module of personal development ultimate aim is greater self-knowledge that will lead to a higher alignment between these two personality domains. So let this be the reflection. The best way to develop yourself is to express your talents and gifts in a way that you enjoy.